Welcome, everybody. This is the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, and every week we bring you the stories of people who are making their communities better. They are helping those in need in all sorts of ways. They are doing this locally, they're doing it globally, they're doing it digitally. And in our club, the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, our group is a group that is spread across a dozen different countries. We are an online, asynchronous group that believes, like all Rotarians, in service above self, that opportunity to experience the joy and meaning that come from helping others. Our goal each week is to have you understand a little bit about some interesting thing that's happening somewhere in the world. These are people who are seeing things that are going on in their community in some way that can be addressed in some interesting fashion. And today we're going to be talking with two teens who invest. These are students who have an organization called Teens Who Invest, and they are working to help other teens better understand their financial possibilities. We are excited to have them. Ria and Mica, welcome. It is great to have you as guests of the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ria,
Yeah, I'm Micah.
and we are Teens Who Invest, an organization dedicated to raising awareness about financial literacy and teaching our community all about it. So, let's learn more. Once again, we are Teens Who Invest, and today we're going to learn all about what our purpose is, what our goal is, and who our team is. So, remember, our organization is revolving around financial literacy. So, for a short disclaimer, we are actually not professional financial advisors. Our sessions are for information only, and we do try to inform our community as much as we can with information that we have researched ourselves. But you should still try to conduct your own research and talk to trusted people. So, who are we? Who is our team? We are high school students from California, and we developed our financial literacy organization, Teens Who Invest, in February of 2025. We're very, very passionate about teaching and increasing awareness of financial literacy, which is actually not taken too seriously in our community. So that's a problem we're trying to solve. In our team, we have 7 members. We have one founder, which is actually me. We have 4 other members, including one in the past who specifically was a blogs contributor. We have one intern who actually has shown her commitment to our team, and she has experimented around several areas of Teens to Invest, and she has become a member now from an intern. And we also have one parent advisor. Over time, we have had over 115 students attend our sessions. We have a really big audience, and we've worked hard to reach that. We've also presented to 4 specific organizations. For example, every Saturday we present to San Jose Public Library, which is a local library that's close to us. We have presented to Jóvenes Activos, which in Spanish actually means active youth. And that is an organization that's a part of District 5, and they have a bunch of youth who are interested in being educated about financial literacy. We have presented to Girl Scout troops, and we've also presented to SJUSD schools, which are schools in our own district. And we have over 100 hours working on developing our organization. We've worked on content creation, we've worked on planning, and I would actually say that outreach has taken the highest amount of time and is also our highest priority. In the top, we see a QR code that, if scanned, takes you directly to our website that we have created ourselves. And our logo is also there as well, that we made using specifically Canva. So that's who we are. And now, specifically talking about financial literacy and personal finance. Financial literacy is learning about topics to manage money. Specifically, it involves budgeting, saving, investing, goal setting, debt management, and more. These are all terms that you would hear us frequently mention during our presentations. We also teach a lot about personal finance, which is basically practicing in real life all of the concepts that we've learned. So that revolves around the application of concepts. So if we learn about budgeting, about what exactly it means to make a budget and not go over it, or if we learn about saving your money instead of always spending it, Personal finance is what actually allows you to apply those concepts to real life and use the information you've learned to do so. So, here's the main problem we're trying to solve. So, you may be wondering why exactly is financial literacy important? Well, there's several reasons. To start off, an extreme lack of financial literacy in schools today. In fact, California is actually the 27th state to require financial literacy for the graduating class of 2030 to 2031. But I see a problem with that. My whole team does. 2030? Well, it's currently 2025. 2030 is in 5 years from now. So if financial literacy is only being introduced to schools in 5 years, that means we're not receiving that education right now. That means for the next 5 years, nobody's going to know, nobody in schools specifically, is going to be educated about financial literacy. And we see that as a huge gap in the system. Financial literacy is extremely crucial. People need to learn about this. And my team and I in Teens Who Invest are extremely passionate about doing so. That's why we're trying to solve this problem. Another important statistic is that adults in the US, 67% cannot even answer 5 basic financial literacy questions. So, what kind of questions are we talking about? We're talking about questions like what is discretionary spending? What is a budget? What does it mean to invest? How do you invest? Questions like that, which are pretty basic questions. But apparently, 67% of adults in the US can't answer those questions. And instead of being just a problem, we see that as an area of improvement where Teens Who Invest, our team, can help solve that problem and help adults or just people in general be able to answer those financial literacy questions. And then one last statistic we have is that 60% of adults in the US don't even have $1,000 for emergency savings. So that means that after you run out of money, let's just say that you have a certain amount of money that you begin with, then you spend all of it. After that, people don't even have any emergency funds. They don't even have $1,000 of that. And that's a huge problem. 60% of adults in the US.
So now, how should we get more financially literate? So what young kids could do is instead of necessarily not learning about it until later, until after they go to college and stuff like that, they could start financial literacy education at an early age, such as at 8 years old. And this is where we come in. So a lot of our meetings and a lot of our lessons, especially at the San Jose Library, we have all kinds of kids of younger age groups, and this is very crucial for them because this provides a base plate and a grounding of what exactly financial literacy is. So so, a little more information about our club. So, we have different types of workshops, such as free, interactive, in person, or online, basic and intermediate concepts. And we also have an adult from our team in attendance at all times. And our workshops often cover budgeting, smart shopping, banking and saving, credit and debt, investing with stocks, and saving for college. So, from our meetings itself, it covers a lot of general concepts and other things that you would need for going on and progressing through life. And our meetings are very useful and crucial for the younger audiences. So if you guys want to reach out for sessions, our email is teenswhoinvest@gmail.com. And if you want to join us as chapters or members, also email us and just spread the word, man. Like spread the word. We're trying to get a good audience here. We're trying to really make a difference in our community. So now I would like to ask you, Mr. Hurley and Mr. Shags, if you guys have any questions for us.
Excellent. You know we will. So I will start by just doing a quick introduction of the group that we have. Both of our members, me and Shags, are here in the San Francisco Bay Area, right? And we are also very happy to have Bafani here, who is helping this group, and it is a pleasure to have you as a guest today as well. So let's start with this question. Uh, is there a most common question you get from other students as you do the different workshops that you do?
So This is actually a funny answer, but most of the times the question we get is, why is there no one here? So when we're presenting and we go to, as I mentioned in my presentation, we mentioned that we actually present at the San Jose Public Library every Saturday and we cover a different lesson. And once we run out of lessons, I mean, not necessarily run out, but once we get to our final lesson, we go back to the first lesson. And outreach has actually been really hard for us. We started from like base level, and it's not been easy to get an audience to actually attend our workshops. So that is a silly answer, but the most common question I've actually gotten, like as soon as you asked me that question, that is what I thought about. That people are like, "Oh, are we the only ones here? Is nobody else coming?" So yeah.
And kind of out on that. So, yeah, and it's been very difficult for outreach, especially add on to what Ria said. It's been very difficult for outreach because people have their own schedules. It's getting back into school, everyone has work. And generally, our meetings like are on the weekends on Saturdays. So a lot of people aren't really available during those times. So it's difficult to get outreach and difficult to get people there. So yeah, we do struggle with like having people consistently go to the meetings.
So another question I frequently get is specifically regarding my budgeting lesson, my team and I. And normally people don't understand, even though they understand what a budget is and how it works and like how it would work, people don't know where to start. Like I've gotten the question that's how exactly do you even start a budget? And so using those questions that have been constantly asked, my team and I were able to add a portion to our presentation where we have a sample problem. So it's actually regarding this thing that's like you have $1,200 to buy an iPhone by the end of the year. So these are the steps that you need to take. And we go through the math as well, and we demonstrate exactly the steps we're taking to get to the final answer. So that's another frequently asked question I've gotten.
Okay. Well, I think the first order of business in getting people excited about what you do is to fine tune your delivery of what you do so that people, know that they're getting a good product out of it. And, clearly, the kind of work you've done that has allowed for the variety of workshops that you do means that you're on a good track. In your name, Teens Who Invest, one thing that pops to mind is that there's plenty of opportunity to learn about investment. And so, how do you introduce young people to the idea of investing?
What we do is we make our lessons engaging and fun for the younger audiences. So we use in our presentations, we use little comics, we use little scenarios like the iPhone or the saving up for things, and we just try to make it as kid friendly as possible. So, and we try to kind of make the terms and definitions a little summed down, easier for them to comprehend. And yeah, we make it easier for them to understand as
To add on to that, we also have activities. So specifically after our investing lesson, we had an activity that gives everyone a different like brand. So for example, Tesla, Starbucks, Instagram, Snapchat, and we give everyone all of those brands or companies and we ask them how much money would they want to invest in that. And that's after we've already gone over what investing means. And people actually, like for our last presentation, people actually gave really smart answers. So for Starbucks, people were like, oh, I don't want to invest a lot in this because it's discretionary. And also in the stock market, it's not really doing that good. And that was actually a great connection I saw based on like using their common sense to also what we taught in our presentation. And people also, I think, also Disney. So I actually, when I was doing the activity myself, I didn't invest that much in Disney. I put a relatively low number for that. But this one kid in my session actually said that Disney has like so many theme parks all over the world. They have hotels and they also have a huge cruise ship. And that made everyone change their answers. Everybody increased the amount that they would invest in Disney. And that's huge. And I think that's a really good application of concepts.
Do you have a way of talking to young people about thinking through complexity? And what I mean by that is, imagine that you've got a company that does a lot. Okay, Starbucks has a lot of stores. Disney has a lot of marketing, all of these different things. To really understand, like, what makes for a good investment. There's that sense of like, what does the future hold for what it is these folks have? Is there an approach you have to getting teens to ask like the next level question and the next level question and the next level question about why an investment might be a good investment?
We do have these, so between each lecture, so how our presentations go is that first we teach and even if it's a complex concept, after that we introduce a warm up. So I feel like the warm up really gives people a chance to think next level. Like for example, there was this one, we were talking about pronouncing the stock symbols, specifically with like Apple, it would be AAPL. With Google, I think it's just like Goog, so GOOG. And Meta is just Meta, or is it Met? I think it's Meta. And then there's many more as well. There's Target, which is TGT. And I feel like when we're doing those warm-ups, like I had everyone sound it out. That helped them kind of think next level. Like specifically with people who are much younger. Like people who were like 5 years old. Like for example, Target, TGT, I feel like that's not really an easy one to figure out, but they kind of just put their heads together and they thought about what exactly we're talking about and how to pronounce that word. So that's a little bit more of a shallow example, but I'm talking about specifically younger people who would be better at like thinking about things that we have taught, specifically with the stock symbols.
All right. And I'm curious, like what you guys, each of you, has learned as a part of doing this. So you move in, you've got this general idea that financial literacy is important, that these are things that you can help others begin to learn. But along the way, you're learning a lot, of course, as you go. Are there particular things that you've learned that were especially surprising, especially interesting, kind of that inspired you to think more about business or entrepreneurial possibilities?
So in general, like being at these presentations and presenting in general, like it's honestly brought me the or like it's brought me the idea that like the importance of financial literacy and how important it is in our society. Like banking and basically financial literacy is what runs society today. And I just like from this whole experience of presenting to these kids and all these other things, it's just highlighted the importance for me, just how important it is that financial literacy has on people, and especially the younger population, because they don't really have the intellect yet of how, like knowing about financial literacy. So like I feel like not only are we helping them, like I feel like I'm getting an understanding for it as well.
Yeah, and for me, I would say that the biggest thing I've learned is that you should really know your content. So, certain times when I was presenting, I got asked specific questions related to the info that I was talking about. And sometimes I didn't have the answer, so I would say that it's mainly related to doing more research based on what I'm discussing. To take an example, I remember that in my last presentation, which was about investing, it was Investing 101 Part 2. Someone asked me a question about how exactly you can invest in a 401k. And I wasn't too familiar with that. And after I asked my parents about that and I did research on my own, I did figure out that it's a pretty complicated concept. So I do feel like the biggest thing I've learned is that I need to research more in depth, specifically what is on my slideshow, so I can be prepared for any questions that come my way.
My question to you, Ria and Mica, would be so you talked about, you teed off by talking about the number of students and the attendance that you have. What session has been the most popular from all the sessions that you've run so far, and how many students did you get for that?
So I think the most popular session for us was actually one where we got like 26 people to show up. And I wasn't actually there for it, but Micah was. So would you like to elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so we had a presentation. It was budgeting, and we presenting to the forgetting what the organization was called. It's like the something Activos. Yeah,
Jovenes
yeah,
Activos.
Jovenos Activos. And me and another teammate, we presented there, and the budgeting presentation, the people we presented to seemed to really like it. And in general, I feel like the budgeting presentation in general was quite engaging and like appealing to the younger audiences, especially. And to the people we presented to, they were all different age groups of teenagers. Like some were 8 years old, some were like 17, 16 years old. So our presentation, like budgeting, we kind of taught them about budgeting, how to budget things, what's overspending, not to overspend, stuff like that. And we made it very engaging for them, and they definitely want to pursue us. So
I definitely think that the audience that attends your session, that attends our sessions, has a lot to do with the specific consumer market that we're trying to reach. For like to add on to that, like for example, in the San Jose Public Library, I feel like it's very, it fluctuates. So some days we get a very high number of people, and the other days we maybe like two or three people show up. So in with the library specifically, I don't think that would be our primary audience. But specifically, I think the Jovenes Activos, just like Micah was talking about, I think that was a great audience for us that we reached out to because they had youth that specifically wanted to learn about it. Like in the library, they weren't just people who were just there. And they're like, "Oh, there's something happening in that room. Should we go look at it?" No, it's actually youth who are all in one place and they want to. They know why they're there and they're there for a reason. So I feel like it depends a lot on the specific audience that we're reaching out to.
And another follow-up question to that is, so right now it looks like you are primarily presenting to people, to kids and teenagers in your community, right? In your Bay Area community. How are you planning on expanding? Do you want to expand to the rest of the US and then globally?
Yeah, I can answer that question. So I think I actually just had a summer program. So, and I met people all over the world. So I actually want to, and they have similar interests because that program was about business and investing and financial literacy. So I was thinking, like, one of my closest friends actually lives in Texas. And another one of my really close friends lives in Australia. So, yes, to answer your question, I think we would be expanding globally. And I would probably talk to them about Teens Who Invest, what our purpose is, what our goal is, who we are, what we do, and talk about whether they would like to start a chapter where they live.
One of the things that really stands out from your bios is the identification of each of you having started a business before. I wonder if you could take a moment and just talk a little bit about what it is you've done and what have you learned from that.
I would love to. I love this question. So, specifically, I do have a sole proprietorship that is a piano business, and I've had it for the past 2 years. And piano has always been a huge passion of mine. And I think in 2023, which was 2 years ago, I actually performed in Carnegie Hall in New York for piano. So, thank you so much. So, I really wanted to, like, from that, it really sparked me to spread my passion to other people. And so I started to teach. And I have students like from the age range like 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, to people who are like senior citizens. So I can teach anyone. And it's also so much fun for me because I can really connect with people who have the same drive and passion as me. And it's amazing. It feels amazing. Like my mom is always telling me, like on Fridays, I like to stock up on classes because the entire week, I haven't, it's just been school, boring school, studying for tests, and there's not really time for classes. So on Friday, I like to stock up. So I normally have like three or four, and my mom is like, "Come on, we need to go to dinner. We need to spend time as a family." And I'm just like, "No, I want to teach. I like teaching." So I feel like it's just a huge passion for me playing piano and also teaching people. And I would also say that I've raised a lot of profit from it as well.
all right, and for me, a couple years ago in my old neighborhood, I had a dog walking business, so I started my own dog walking business. I put flyers around my neighborhood, and I had a couple good clients going around, and I had a whole spreadsheet and scheduling and stuff. And I feel like what it generally taught me was not just like experience in the business, but just how to connect with people on the business level and how to communicate and how to interact and get kind of the knowledge and feeling for what it's really like to own a business. And I also, within my dog walking business, I also babysitted dogs. I checked on them when owners left for vacation, and I had good client bases. And I ran this all by myself. And unfortunately, now I don't do it anymore like Ria does with her piano, but I wish I could. But yeah, I moved. So, but when I was in my own neighborhood, it was a really fun experience. And it just taught me about how I can, get like financially literate. Like that was like probably one of my first stages of becoming financially literate. And it kind of just sparked my like passion for it in general.
Excellent, guys. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to wind things down, and then I'll hand it back to you for the final word. But for all of you who have taken time to watch this recording or listen to the podcast, we hope that you have taken several things from this message. The idea that you've got young people who are looking at new possibilities for themselves and figuring out ways to help other young people learn about it as well. We think that's exciting. We think that's reflective of the kind of story of people doing good work for their communities all over the world. And we hope that you will share what you learn on our site. You can find us at siliconvalleyrotary.com or more easily at rotary.cool. And one of the things you'll see at the top of the page is a tab that says meetings. And you can see through that archive story after story after story within our meetings that come from the different people who talk to us from all over the world. As we always like to do, we hand it back to our speakers for the final word. So, Ria, I believe you are handling this. Go ahead and wind us down.
Thank you so much. So, in Teens Who Invest, we believe that financial literacy is something that every teenager deserves to understand and be a part of. And we are working as hard as we can to ensure this. So, by supporting each other and sharing what we learned, we can build a generation that's really confident with money. So, let's start today together. Please help us wherever you are at Teens Who Invest. Thank you so much.
Nicely done, Ria. Nicely done, Mika,
Woohoo!
Micah. And we look forward to learning about the bright futures that you guys surely have.